I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube, joined by my buddy Butch Rosenbalm. We're here to continue our Western series with For a Few Dollars More, starring Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef. Um, when did you first see this one, Butch?
Are you ready for this, Joel?
I'm ready.
This week.
Really?
And I have owned this DVD for probably close to 20 years. Well, I need to watch that. I need to watch that. I need to watch it. And, just never worked out. And so this week was actually the first time I've ever seen it. Though apparently I have seen the first scene with Lee Van Cleef where he puts that stock on that pistol and he shoots, because I remembered that, but I think I combined it with the scene in Hang 'em High where Ben Johnson, the one of the criminals is getting away and they're like yelling at him, "Get him, sheriff! Come on, kill him, kill him!" And I kind of combined those two. So I mean, I knew it was one of the Dollars movies, but
this has some nice opening desert porn before you hear the theme and you hear somebody whistling. It's Clint Eastwood's character, and I love how they do the entrance of this. What did you think of that opening?
that's awesome. I mean, these three films are classics. I know when I was younger, I had a very negative view because I remember my dad telling me, "Well, they're just cheaply made Italian films." So I always thought of them as low budget, but I mean, I love it. I mean, I'm very disappointed in myself that I haven't watched this movie earlier.
Well, here's the thing, like it I don't know if you've ever been. There's this store around where I live. It's called Peachin's, and they sell these cheap 25-cent hamburgers, and they
Mhm.
make them there. They're cheap, but they're good. Well, just like the hamburgers, these films are cheap, but they're good. Uh,
You know, money does not guarantee a good film,
no,
and
no,
a lack of money. I mean, I was watching I saw it on Precinct 13 earlier, and
yeah.
it's just amazing what John Carpenter could do on that film, and of course everybody else, but him being the director. Knowing how low budget that film is, and like Escape from New York, and how it looks like it's a $30 million film.
Yeah. Yeah, directors, I think sometimes directors work best with a lower budget because they know what they don't have. So they look for things that they can sort of replace with it. Like if they have to shoot scenery, then they'll shoot scenery and they'll shoot dialogue. But as far as having a big time effects, no. I think one of the best things about Assault on Precinct 13 is Carpenter does so much with so little. And same thing with Halloween too. He does so much with so little. Again, Halloween, his original concept was the babysitter murders, and Michael Myers was supposed to murder around town, like a larger portion of the town, and he doesn't do that because they didn't have the money for that. And Ern Bland said, "Let's just call it Halloween," which was smart because they weren't. Yes, it was still about babysitting, but it was also taking place on Halloween. So Aaron Yablans said, "Let's change the title," and they did, and it was magic. Now for this movie, I like how they get a big some of the cast for Fistful Dollars. They take the villain. Indio is more of a memorable villain than the villain that the same actor played in the last film. Um, a scale of 1 to 10, how psychotic is Indio, Butch?
12.
Beautiful.
Uh, one thing I was watching the special features, and it's believed this is the first time in, if you will, a big budget film, even though the budget wasn't that big, that you see drug addiction, someone smoking a joint.
Yeah.
It's really subtle though. I mean, he just kind of, and as somebody puts one in, but you can, this dude, man, he is gone. And that's where you can get to what he does to that guy's shooting that guy's wife and kid. I mean, he's loco.
And every time he like kills somebody, he's always needing the fix too to smoke a cigarette. And that's something I noticed too about this movie. I'm like, man, there is some psychotic killers in westerns. Don't get me wrong, but I think India's got them all beat
You
because
know,
he's just out there.
he is, and you're talking about him. I didn't think about it. Him having a cigarette after each one. It's almost like he's had sex.
Yep,
You
yep.
know, he go, it was good for me. Was it good for you? Oh wait, you're dead.
That's true. And you notice what's really like sort of surreal and sick with this character? He sleeps with his eyes open. One of his gang members, this big, large man who's from the previous film, who was also in the same gang in the previous film, he's covering him up and his eyes are like not closed. And I'm just like, that is I mean, that's great acting, number one, by the actor not closing his eyes, but not even blinking because he doesn't blink at the guy covering him up or standing in front of him. And I don't know how hard that is from a trained actor standpoint, but it can't be easy.
No, it can't be easy. No.
And I love it. I love too that we're not necessarily having the same exact plot with this movie. With this movie has a better plot. We have bounty hunters, which is you have Lee Von Cleef, which technically his character is introduced first. He's seen first. We hear Eastwood's character first initially. But I love Lee Von Cleef's introduction into this movie.
Yeah, Lee Von Cleef. Good Lord. Thank you. God, now I'm drawing a blank. Who's the director?
Sergio Leone.
Leone. Thank you.
Leone.
Thank you, Sergio Leone, for turning Lee Von Cleef from bad guy number two into a leading or at least lead actor.
Yeah.
He's just so damn cool in this film. I mean, when I had some notes, I was taking notes and wrote note number one was Lee Von Cleef. I mean, he's got that face. He to me he looks like somebody you just don't want to mess with.
Yeah. Too, now he's been in other westerns prior to this because
Oh yeah,
he was in the Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. He was one of Liberty Valance's henchmen, which I like how he's like not afraid of John Wayne's character in that movie. Like he's willing to like draw on anybody, and that lets you know that Lee Von Cleef really stood out in the movies he was in, whether he starred in them or not. And this movie, he stands out again. He's reading the Bible and
the pipe.
the he's like this train does not start. The one guy's like, yeah, the father, the train does not stop in Tucumcari. This train will stop in Tucumcari.
Lee Von Cleef is in what is it? It's not 20 Million Miles to Earth. It's one of those 1950s black and white stop action science fiction kind of horror film. And at the very end, they need somebody that's a sharpshooter.
Yeah.
And what the thing that always sticks with me is they hand him this gun, this sniper rifle, and they tell him this bullet. The implication is that I don't think they say it flat out. It's got uranium. They say it's the only one this side of Oak Ridge, which if you don't know about Oak Ridge and its role in the atomic bomb, I work in Oak Ridge, so it always cracks me up. It's like, hey, Lee Von Cleef, Oak Ridge, yay! He just, the first thing I ever saw him in was, God, apparently we're going to keep going back to John Carpenter. First thing I ever saw him in was Escape from New York. And even then, and I don't know, it's not funny. In the commentary or one of the special features in Escape from New York, John Carpenter talks about Lee Von Cleef had trouble with his knees and he couldn't walk. He had trouble walking. He could walk. He had trouble walking. And there's that scene where he's walking down the hallway with Kurt Russell, and they were like, "God, can he do this?" And yep, he did it. I mean, even then, he's probably in his 60s, and I was like, man, that's just somebody I wouldn't mess with. He just has that look, The look that Tom Cruise is totally missing when he tries to play a tough guy. He's like, "Ugh," and Tom Cruise looks like he's about to poop on himself. It's like, no, no. Levi Cleef just has a look where I'm not messing with him.
When you look at the Western actors we've mentioned, from Bronson to Wayne to Fonda to Levon Cleave to Clint Eastwood, they all have a look about them that give off badassery. And that's something a lot of actors miss today, that try to be tough, but they or look tough, but they aren't, like you're just saying. And I'll tell you a really good movie I watched with him. It's Death Rides a Horse. And he's really good in that one too. And again, he's just this actor who looks tough. He doesn't talk, he doesn't shout, at least right away, not till the end of this movie, really.
Mm-hmm.
But when he talks, I mean, he has your attention. I mean, even before he says a word, he has your attention. I like the old man in this movie because of the goddamn trains. It's
The crazy guy.
yeah. I was like, this guy's got a point. Maybe it is the trains' fault. This is all badly happening, but no. I like how the little kid hustles Eastwood's character.
Hey man, somebody's got to be hollering for Shane at the end of the picture.
Right? He's like, he's like, he's like, you want information? He's like, yeah. And he goes, there's somebody I didn't tell you about. He goes, listen, you little runt. I want to know everybody who's here. And he like, he goes, more people came in. It's like this kid's like getting some nice cash out of this. I like this kid's good job.
Gotta hustle, man. They love a lot of people love the term side hustle nowadays,
Yeah.
and I absolutely hate it because when I hear hustle, I think you're scamming somebody. So
No, my wife knows all about hustle. Honey, will you do the dishes for me? Of course I will. And if you do this for me, I'll give you this. And it's like, well, wait a second. You didn't ask me to do that for. See, that's hustle. That's hustle right there. Women know all about it. Anyway, this movie, I really like Levon Cleave's introduction because they don't rely on Eastwood's character right away. It gives another character for you to go off of instead of just relying on Eastwood's character, who you know was in the previous film. And I knew right away, like when I watched this with my grandfather when I was a kid, I knew right away this was a sequel to Fistful of Dollars. And I'm sitting simply because my grandfather told me. He's like, "Oh, by the way, this is a sequel to the movie we just watched." I'm thinking, "Oh, okay, thanks, Grandpa." We're sitting there watching this, and I'm on the couch, and I'm like, "Well, wait a second." I said, "It Lee Von Cleef, wasn't he in that movie we watched?" He goes, "Yeah, he was in The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. He was a smaller character then." He goes, "You'll see that in some westerns where an actor is in another role, but it's not as big of a part." So with this, he's in a much bigger part, and I like the fact that he is the start of your focus of your story.
yeah, you'd already established Clint in the previous film, so if you're bringing somebody else in, another main character, I totally agree with the option of you sorry, you introduce us to him, you tell us some story about him, and give us some time because we already know the other character. Now I'm going to ask you a question. You're always asking questions. Truthfully, looking just at the story, is this really a sequel to Fistful of Dollars?
Is it a direct sequel? No. But it is we call this the Dollar Trilogy, right? Now, the reason is every movie is about money, really.
Yeah,
Though there's other things going on, there's other backdrops and other stories going on in all three movies, including the one we're going to get to next week. But for this movie, I'll stick to it's a sequel, sort of. I hate to say by default, but it's a sequel because in the first movie, Eastwood's character had no money. So he wants to get money. So he puts these two gangs who are already against each other, he uses that because he has a fast gun hand.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, I love how they do an intro where they're talking about the bounty hunters. The bounty hunters came because they were sort of needed, because in death there's money, there's profit to be made. So and truthfully, it's a lot better story than the first one. They're not ripping off of, Yojimbo, if you will. They're using their own plot here, which I like. And it's a lot better story because not only we know Eastwood's character is going to be in this story, you get a Lee Von Cleef who's got his own reasons for doing what he's doing. Plus, yes, he's in it for the money, but his sole reason isn't money. And we find that out later on, which I like. Sergio Leone, again, this was a lot better script than the last one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now, you could debate, is it a better script for than The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? That I'll debate with you all day long. but this here is a better script than Fistful of Dollars. Don't get me wrong, Fistful of Dollars is a fun movie and a really great movie to watch. But I just think this is a better solid story than the first film. Go ahead, sir.
I would agree. No, I definitely agree. I'm going to respectfully disagree. It's not a sequel, in my opinion.
Really?
It's really not. I honestly, I'm kind of torn as if Clint is playing the same character in all these films.
Yeah.
And now, like I said, looking at it strictly from the storyline, strictly logically, does it really matter? No. Am I going to push that view off on anybody? No. I was just thinking about that. It's like, I really don't think this is a sequel. I mean, there's basically two types of sequels. It's where, you have if you will, the James Bond sequels where it's the same character, or then you've got like Star Wars or Star Trek where you have the same characters but you're telling different stories. Whereas basically, and I'm a huge Bond fan. Don't get me wrong. I have them all of them on Blu-ray, but it's basically the same movie over and over and over and over.
Right. Now, with this movie, let me ask you this. What do you think? You said this might be a different character than the previous movie. So they do, now in this movie, I will admit, they do say his name in this movie. Whereas in the previous movie, I don't think we heard his name. Now, are they just using a fake name in this movie for his character, or what's your thought?
Manco apparently is supposed to, in Spanish, means one arm because he does everything one arm with his left arm because he just saves the right hand for shooting.
Right.
So I don't think it's really a name. I think it's more just of a, calling the bald guy Curly or something, They call him, he's called Joe in Fistful of Dollars, but, a lot of people call, that's just a common name, like G.I. Joe. Hey, Joe. Hey, Joe. So, yeah, to me, he really isn't the man with no name because he doesn't give his name. They just call him things.
Yeah. I will say that I think the reason they don't give his real name is it sort of dates back to the first movie where we talked about where the original script wasn't good. And so, as often with writers, and this is true too for The Shadow with Walter B. Gibson, it took Gibson a bit to realize, oh, this is a man of mystery. And I think it's the same thing with this movie here we're talking with Sergio Leone's, with the man with no name, if you will. That first maybe they probably gave him the name Joe, and then they realized, oh, wait a second, this is a man of mystery, and that builds the character.
Yes, very much so. I mean, I think we all know Boba Fett from the Star Wars films is intended to be the man with no name in Star Wars, and that's why Boba Fett worked in the movies because he didn't talk much. And when he did talk, like you were just saying, you're talking about Levi and Cliff, but when he talked, you listened. It was important. And it just we were watching The Mandalorian, the most recent episode, and I just kind of like our granddaughter's been here all week, and I told her, I said, don't tell your Oma, but all the Mandalorian is a Western in space.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate with you on this. Have you shown her the Dollar trilogy?
I have not, because she doesn't like to watch Westerns.
Well, just tell her, like, this is the OG Mandalorian. Just tell her that.
This is the guy before Boba Fett.
Yeah.
See, my wife is very, very smart. She doesn't like to watch Westerns, and she knows I like to watch them. So she'll go, I'd rather watch you play Red Dead than watch a Western. So I put Red Dead Redemption in and play it. It's like, that's pretty darn smart.
Yeah. Do you like me using the bolt action, honey, or the sniper rifle?
Bolt action.
Absolutely, yes.
I'm not much of a sniper guy.
I'll tell you the funniest thing when I was playing it. I had the sniper rifle, and I went up to the one building in Valentine, and I just pointed it right at the sheriff, and I had no problem blowing his head off. But then when people start moving around, then I have a little more accuracy issues.
I like to go to is it Tumbleweed with that really annoying sheriff? Yeah. Have a good day, people, but live your life. I like to walk up to him and pull out the two the sawed off double barrels and just literally, it's like, you know what, God, shut up.
I got one for you. Take the shotgun or the sawed off, your choice, and do it in first person mode, standing right next to him. Now, either one of two things have happened, and I've had both. You'll kill him, because here's the thing: the guy, the sheriff in Tumbleweed, like Butch is saying, he's actually based off of a real life lawman, Bass Reeves. So which, it's like, he's supposed to be really fast on the draw. So if you're standing really close to this dude, he'll like draw his gun like snap of the finger and blow you away. But if you're lucky enough to get the shot off, it is righteous justice with blood. That's all.
Once I found out he was based on Bass Reeves, and anybody that may not know, that there is a potential that Bass Reeves helped inspire the Lone Ranger character. Yeah. Bass Reeves was a real life badass. And yes. It's like, okay, no, I can't go shooting Bass Reeves anymore. Even if in this game he's a little bit of an ass.
The best place to like set up sniper is in Saint Denis.
Oh yeah.
I mean, them tall buildings, it's really good. Now there's a ton of police there, so they'll be on your ass, no problem. But like the escape after you do the sniper rifling. Now my issue is my horse, which my horse is either two things: one, either really intelligent or really stupid. And if you're doing a train robbery in Red Dead Redemption 2, folks, look to the latter, the second option, because when I was doing a train robbery, Butch, I was mid-train robbery, my horse decides to veer a right into the oncoming train.
I was in Annisburg, and there was a little horse with a little single cart, and nobody was there, so I just jumped on it, and I whistled, and my horse was following me. And I kept whistling. He must have got stuck behind me. And then we get on up way past Annisburg, and I'm near a train. And the railroad tracks, and finally my horse shows up. And where does the horse stop? You got it, on the train tracks. And I'm like trying to get on him, and splat, it's like, oh my god. And I nicknamed my a friend of mine who passed away. His nickname was Big Boy, and I'd named that horse Big Boy.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't let Big Boy die, so I just went back in and reloaded it.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Well, what's funny too is no matter what you're doing in Red Dead Redemption 2 with the NPCs, whether it's an animal or a person. Now, I was on a bounty hunting mission, so I'm sneaking up on the camp without them seeing me. I got my shotgun out, I'm gonna blow some people away. I'm thinking, all right, I'm gonna get this because I rarely collect now unless it's in the main mission. You collect bounties alive, but in when you're John Marston, you don't have to for some god awful reason. So I'm John Marston. I'm in the post, and I'm getting ready to like deliver some shotgun justice. All of a sudden, this bear comes out of nowhere, and I do mean nowhere, and mauls the gang to death. And they end up killing the bear at the same time. And I'm just like, uh-huh, uh-huh. Justice, Butch. Justice. Oh my god. But back to the movie anyway. Oh my god. For $3 more. What did you think of Clint Eastwood and Levon Cleef's chemistry together? Really good.
Really good. It was. It really, I, I wish more team up movies, if you will, were like this. Smart. Each had their own thing, and each was proud. Each had their own abilities, and both of them were kind of like always rivaling to be the alpha, but they weren't really betraying each other, so to speak. But each one was trying to get ahead, and the relationship between them is. But while they are trying to get ahead of one another, there is some respect there. It's like, yeah, I can't. Both of them are thinking in my mind, I can't just shoot this guy. He's just as good as I am. So, and it even turns towards the end, in my opinion, towards a mentor type deal because he starts calling him boy. You got a problem there, boy? Nothing I can't handle, old man. And even though it sounds rude, I mean, to me, it's obviously that there's a lot of affection behind those terms.
Yeah, this one has a really cool duel at the end. And what you learn is that Indio, our psychotic killer here, and I do mean psychotic, he'd give Michael Myers a run for Psycho of the Year, um, murdered Levon Cleave's character's sister, and it's like she was giving a watch. Now her brother had a similar watch, so and it played the same tune. And now this watch is used earlier to murder the person who betrayed Indio and a woman and a child. Yes, Indio has no problem murdering kids. Um, Again, psycho. So the duel, Indio has the watch open, and then you hear another watch, and then you see Eastwood's character, and he's holding the rifle and he's pointing at Indio, and he shakes his head, and he looks at the picture, he goes, "Very careless of you, old man." And he says, "Try this," and he says, "Now we start." I think it's one of the best duel setups too, because Eastwood's character sort of disappears and all like he's killing people, but he disappears too. So when you see Colonel Mortimer and Indio across from each other, it's a nice little setup because Eastwood's character, you know, he's around, but you're not sure where. And then you just out of nowhere you hear you hear the other watch. He lifted it from Colonel Mortimer at some point in time, which was really nice.
Yeah, from watching this for the first time, what it is we see a couple that is obviously about to become intimate,
Yeah.
and female hands the male this like a pocket watch, like I was talking about, and it plays this. I don't know why I hated that music. And Indio is watching them, and excuse me, the guy, I don't remember which one else. Anyway, the guy starts to turn to shoot Indio. Indio shoots him like 3 times. Then he proceeds to have his way with the woman, and she's trying to get the gun under the bed. And I don't know if she's trying to shoot Indio or if she's trying to shoot herself.
Yeah.
If she's trying to shoot Indio, she misses and she does kill herself.
Yeah.
I thought the implication I had there was that Indio didn't stop just because she was dead.
Yeah.
Now, I thought that guy was Levon Cleef.
Yeah.
They dug bullets out. He healed up, and that's why he's so driven. But like you said, you end up finding out this is his sister,
Yeah.
and he, like you said, he has the same kind of watch, the same kind of tone, and Clint Eastwood's character says something about there's a resemblance there, and he's like, well, there should be. I mean, Levi Cleef just says very plainly, well, there should be between brother and sister.
Yeah. Now, when I first saw this, I thought that it was his daughter and he was the dad. Now, I was wrong. They go the brother sister out, which I'm fine with. I think he could have went either or. And just what really makes this movie too, again, I'll give credit where credit's due, is the villain too. Indio is just one cold-hearted son of a bitch. And I mean, to me, I want a Western villain. I want dead in the first like 5 minutes I meet him. And that's Indio. I mean, you meet him, you want him dead instantly. And he is just, the actor did a great job. Again, I mean, he knows how to play a heel. And I'm glad they got him for this movie because he really, really shines in this one too.
Total agreement. Total agreement. On an unrelated note, are you watching Picard season 3?
No, am I missing anything?
You are, because I really season 1 was bad. I despised Q, so I didn't watch season 2. But I really liked 3. There's a character by the name of Captain Shaw, who is captain of the Titan A. Now, personally, I thought he was going to be dead in about 10 minutes after he showed up.
Yeah.
I hate the character. I really do. So to me, that's a testament to the actor doing a good job. You know, he's not the villain, so to speak, like you're talking about, but
Right.
to me, that's a sign of a good actor. You know, when you're rooting for the bad guy to get his thing, and you just can't wait.
Right.
That's a good actor. That's an actor doing his job.
I'm. I'll tell you what. I'll because I did not like season 1 or season 2 of Picard. I will check out season 3 since you recommended it because you or Patrick have never steered me wrong, so I appreciate it. But I will definitely check it out.
Just if nothing else, watch the first episode and see if you like that. If you like that, keep going. If you don't bother.
You know, it's funny because you say about how the Mandalorian is a Western in space. I said this. We had a discussion a while back ago in one of our Western videos. I said the reason Mandalorian is successful is because people miss Westerns, and they do. So eat it, people, eat it.
I think I've made this point before, and I'm sorry if I have. I don't know if you know this. One of the stuntmen on The Mandalorian, Ethan Wayne, John Wayne's grandson, and I just love that. And, you know, there's times when like there's a stunt going on, and I don't know if it's him or not, and I just like to think, yep, there's John Wayne's grandson.
Yeah, he does. He does a lot of the walking and physical labor is what he does. Ethan Wayne. Hopefully he'll get to be actually in front of the camera and not in a suit. It would be really nice. But he does do a great job in The Mandalorian for sure. Um,
It's funny you say that because there's a couple of times noticed him walking the Mandalorian, and I thought he's kind of walking like John Wayne. Now I know John Wayne walked the way he did because of a football injury,
yeah,
and if you've never noticed, John Wayne has a particular gait. You can watch pretty much any film where you see him, and he just has. And I'm not trying to make fun of him or nothing, but he has a distinctive walking style, and maybe it's all in my head, or maybe there was something in the guy's shoe, but it seems like there's a couple of scenes where it's like, yeah, that kind of makes me think of John Wayne.
yeah, he does. Ethan Wayne did an interview that I was reading about where he does a lot of the walking of the Mandalorian and the physical stunts. So when you see the Mandalorian walking, that's Ethan Wayne doing the walking and the physical motions of it. Really does a good job too. Um, with this, what's your favorite? What's your favorite shootout in this movie? Because there's a lot of gunplay in this movie.
Yeah, there's a fair amount. I'm going to go with the first one with Lee Von Cleef
Yeah,
when he shows up to collect the bounty, and he knocks. The guy's in with a soiled dove. He knocks on the door. Guy shoots, jumps out the window. Lee Von Cleef chases after him, and he's outside next to his horse, and the guy's running, and he just pulls the string on the saddlebag and down drops like 5 or 6 guns, and he pulls out this. It's a bunt line, a bunt line single action army, and he has this cool little stock he puts on it. And he just waits. I'm sorry. First, he pulls out the Winchester, kills the horse. Then the bad guy's coming at him, firing, and you can see the bullets dropping in front of Lee Von Cleef, and he's getting closer and closer. And Lee Von Cleef just puts the stock on, and he's taking his aim, and he just waits, and then bam!
yeah,
That's just, to me, that's one of the coolest scenes. I mean, and it also demonstrates one of the differences between Clint and Manco and Colonel Mortimer. Manco is kind of a Chow Yun Fat, bam, 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 no real aim, whereas Colonel Mortimer is obviously a former soldier, and he's taking his time. But both of them are dead shots. So, but I just really loved that. He was calm, he was cool, he was collected. He had a buttload of guns right there.
yeah.
He was prepared for whatever came his way. What about you?
I actually like the shootout between the duel between Indio and the guy who betrayed him. Simply because this is the first time we see the watch, and there's some significance to it. Now, so I love that. And again, the actor who played the villain did a really great job. I'll tell you a scene I really love too. I love the setup for the bank robbery. And then the fact that they blow up the back of the bank and they shoot the kid and the guy in the head. Really, really good stuff in this.
There is there's a lot. I don't know how many of the the tropes that you see in this film. Indio's in the jail, and his cellmate tells him about him making this safe that looks like a cabinet.
Yeah.
We've seen it before. They kill all the guards, and Indio's about to kill the last one, and he gets an empty chamber, and he goes, "I'm going to let you live, hero, so you can go tell him what happened here."
Yeah.
That scene could have easily just been a groaner,
Yeah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No.
But
You there?
I'm there. Never lost you.
Well, you cut out on my end. So what were you saying?
Um, Yeah, I had to think, so I probably forgot.
All about where he lets the one guy live.
Yeah, just so many tropes and things that we've seen before in other films, and I don't know how many of them originate in this movie, but and it seemed like that could easily be a groaner and over the top. And even though he's really over the top, it works.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, it's a pleasure to watch this film.
I really love too when he's pointing the gun at him, the gun clicks. So he's empty. He tells him, I'm gonna let you live, and then he laughs, and Indio's laugh is just sinister too. And very much in a lot of ways, he's sort of like a Western version of the Joker. He's
That's what I
so
was just thinking. He would make a great Joker.
yeah, he's so random in what he does. And he's so evil in what he does. He does it with there's things he does just without a thought, and it seems so random. Now, the bank robbery is done with thought, it is planned out, but there's other things he does in between there that's just so random. He murders his own men in this movie, which is just sinister as hell. I mean, he murders his best friend, who Eastwood's character freed from jail, and it's just like, holy shit. Like you said 12, I'm with you. Like on a scale of 1 to 10 of how psychotic this dude is, it's just a full-blown 12. I mean, he is to say
Sorry for the.
India right, to say Indio has checked out, he has checked out.
I'm going to try and say his name, and I apologize for the glare in the glasses because I'm old and blind. Gianni Maria Volante,
Yes.
I believe is how you say it. God, he's a
Really
great
great.
bad guy. Yeah, you were saying that, and I was just like, man, he'd make a great Joker. And I said in my head, and I said it about a second before you did. But yeah, I mean, the character's written well. He plays it well. And even though he's kind of overselling it, it works
Yeah.
because he's doing it so well.
And when he's like calmly talking about the safe too, he's telling his men, you would think a carpenter couldn't make any money, but you're wrong. I mean, when he's even talking calm, he sounds dangerous. It's just that good.
And did you catch they were in an old abandoned church, and he goes up to I'm not Catholic. I don't know what the term is where the priest goes up and speaks from the but he's up there and he's talking to them and he's almost sermonizing to them.
Yep.
Almost a conversion. I suspect one of them go, Amen.
And that's the thing too. He's in a church telling them a story about a safe that gets made so they can go rob the damn place. It's beautiful.
But at least just like when the church was running, there was a story about a carpenter.
So true. So true. Uh, and that carpenter was murdered too. Anyway, anyway. Oh my
Just remember, Lord, Jewel said that, not me. I just said talked about a carpenter. That was Jewel.
God, I got a one-way ticket to hell. Anyway, what's with this movie? What did you think of the final duel sequence?
I liked it. I wouldn't want to see every duel like this,
Right.
but you mentioned that he's got the watch, and okay, we're going to shoot each other when the music stops, and then Clint shows up with the other one, and because he got the gun away from Colonel Mortimer, so only Indio had a gun. Colonel Mortimer's was in the ground, laying on the ground, and Clint's like, here, and he tosses him a gun belt. Let's do this even. And when you wait for a deliciously evil bad guy like that to get his comeuppance,
Yeah.
you don't want it to be quick,
No.
dude. But you don't. You want the lead up, the build up, and then the beautiful symmetry in that circle, whatever that is, the town center or whatever, and that huge panoramic view and that everything in the background. It's like it's gorgeous. I mean, it's more desert porn, I guess.
I do like the town they use too. We do get a good bit of desert porn in the beginning, but we also get some good shots of the towns, which I like. And I like the town that they use at the end. It's very claustrophobic. It gives you this sense of danger feeling, and it's a really great job by the cinematographer of how they shot it, because you can tell this town is full of people who are just no goddamn good. Uh, but let me think. I have no more questions, Butch. Is there anything you want to add?
Um, if for some reason you're like me and you've never watched this film, well, at least as of last week, do yourself a favor, sit down and watch this. Um, is it on Tubi? No, it's on Pluto. All three of the Dollars movies are on Pluto for free. You have to watch commercials. I do have one question for you because I'm curious. On my DVD, they kept calling them the bounty killers, not bounty hunters.
Yeah.
On the version you have, did it say bounty killers or bounty hunters?
On all three versions I have, it says bounty killers. I have three versions of For a Few Dollars More. I have two versions of Fistful of Dollars, and I have four versions of The Good and the Bad and the Ugly. There's something wrong with me that I collect this fucking trilogy. But on all three versions of For a Few Dollars More, at the opening, it says bounty killers. So that's what it says, bounty killers. Hello. There we go. Okay. Power's still on, which is good. But yeah, it says bounty killers. What's really interesting too is it says it in the same font too. All three films. Oh my gosh.
There you go. Now you're moving again.
Yeah. But yeah, it says it in all three movies, bounty killers. So, but now I will say we don't get the bounty killers in Red Dead Redemption 2. We're called bounty hunters. Um, and if you could take your bounty alive without it being eaten by a bear, good for you.
I don't think I've ever taken a bounty back alive. Why bother? Unless you have to. And I love those missions because you'll have him thrown over the horse and he'll start running his mouth, and you can always hit him, and it's just like, I'm going to kill you. You ain't killing nothing.
They call him Butch the Hitman Rosenbalm, and there's a reason for it. There you go. There you go. Butch, buddy, this was a lot of fun to do. Sorry about the power outage earlier, but what a great movie. I agree with you. If you have not checked out For a Few Dollars More, God, I own three versions of this goddamn movie. That should tell you something, and it's every one of them is worth owning.
And they're beautiful, just beautiful films.
They are, and I think just the performances too, from our protagonist to our antagonist, just a great job and a better. It's nice to see that a movie that technically follows the first film. I know Butch disagrees with me, but does a really great job of telling a better story than the first one.
And tells a different story because I don't know about anybody else. I don't want to keep seeing the same movie over and over and over. I want to have, yeah, one of the things that I heard them say, the producers about James Bond say, we have to tell the exact same story a different way.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to see that, Have you ever watched the trailer of a film and you can go, okay, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and you basically know the whole movie. It's like, what's the point of watching this film? So yeah,
I gotta tell you, I've given up on watching trailers.
I should.
I like the only one I'll watch is the teaser. That's it, because the teaser doesn't show that much. But when everyone's like, "Did you see the theatrical?" I'm like, "No," because it shows too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they need to go back to not showing as much.
I literally said, if you really want a trailer, literally show literally a minute. That's it, a minute of the movie. Because what are you really going to see? Not much. If you can't sell your movie in a minute, there's something wrong with you.
I don't remember what it was. I was a kid, and Superman 2 was about to come out, the one with Christopher Reeve and the Phantom Zone criminals. And it was the scene where two of the Phantom Zone criminals push a bus up against Superman, and then the people in traffic are like, Superman's dead. And it stopped. Now, I knew Superman wasn't dead, but it's just like, my God, I've got to see this film. So, yeah, I agree with it. I mean, pick the right moment, obviously. But, yeah, if you can't sell a movie in a minute, you're probably not making a movie that needs to be made, or you need to figure out how to do it better.
For example, when they make another Halloween movie, a quiet, peaceful town getting ready to celebrate Halloween, and then you hear breathing, and you see Michael Myers in black watching people cross the street, and then that's it. That's all you need to know. That's it. Butch, buddy, it was a lot of fun. Enjoy playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I know I do. I will see you next week for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And whatever you do, show the youngsters the Westerns, no matter what they tell you.
Yes.
And if you need someone to blame, I'm your man.
Start with the Mandalorian, get them hooked on that, then move on to these films.
Absolutely.
And you've got them hooked.
Absolutely. Butch, buddy, I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me as always, dude.
Take care, Joel.
You too. Bye.
See ya.